I said that it's sometimes hard to be this cool.
Oh, and I said, I can only imagine.
Yeah, in the tiredest, most harassed. You must put up with so much of my nonsense. It's a barrage. It's a barrage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't help it.
And you've got me, like, making my own jokes at my own expense now.
Oh, yeah,
You've got me
that's one of my
well-trained, so,
favorite.
like, every time I say I'm going to go take a shower, you would say, yeah, good thing.
Good
or
idea.
something along those lines.
Yeah.
And so now every time I say I'm going to take a shower, I just say I'm going to take a shower, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I know. I hear the insult as I'm saying the sentence.
I don't even have to make the joke anymore.
I know.
That's how you build things in life. That's how life works.
That's how love works.
That's how love works. There's a lot of love. I don't know. You know, what I used to say all the time, that Adrienne is a saint.
Right. Like people are going to be saying that about me when we're old.
When we're old, yeah. When we move to some small town and retire,
yeah.
that lady is goddamn saint.
I know, because you're only going to get worse.
I'm telling you. That lady is a saint.
Saint.
Oh boy, here we go. Podcasting.
Punch drunk on yard work, I believe we are.
I think that's mainly what it is. I think we got our first big weekend of serious heat. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about the show we did, but I think we've just done a bunch of yard work, and it's the first time that it's been like legitimately like super hot.
And I still feel lucky because it's like
compared to
it's 90, I think it might be 97 tomorrow, which is way better than a lot of the country right now.
Yeah. They're
crazy.
Yeah, Death Valley's supposed to get possible world record heat for like anywhere, like hottest temperature
anywhere on the planet
anywhere recorded at least,
insane.
right?
Yeah. It's gonna be like 127 or 133 or something.
Something
like that.
just nutty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but we have been just exhausting ourselves. We bought a tree today.
We bought a tree.
Yeah.
That's a big purchase.
It was a big purchase. Trees are not cheap. We got a honey locust. We're not sure what we're going to name it yet.
I said Lucia right off the bat. It's Lucia.
Except that it's a boy tree.
And you want to call him Hector from Hector's.
Yeah. Or
no.
Lucas, because Lucas the honey locust.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's a honey locust, so it's not like a manly tree, but it's definitely a boy tree.
Okay.
All right.
Should we talk about music?
We probably should at some point.
All right. So we had a show.
Yeah, we did.
That was a hot show. So we played at the Petty Nicks Experience played at the Louisville Street Fair.
Which was so great.
It was great. It's a music series. They have maybe 6 shows over the summer.
6 or 8, something.
It is the thing to do in Louisville.
Oh
my gosh, the place was packed. So
they shut down, I don't know, 10 blocks maybe. I mean, if you go both ways, counting both directions, they shut down maybe 10 blocks. So it's all walking. And they just have this huge street fair with a concert and food trucks and all the things.
Yeah.
And
we play in a pavilion, or played in
it's a covered area.
Steinbach Pavilion. Covered area, covered, concrete area in front of the stage where people can dance. And then people were also off to both sides, left and right. And then beyond that, there was a street. They actually set up, did you see they set up mains across the street?
So across the street, there was a whole other courtyard type area.
Yeah.
I mean, and they had
speakers,
line arrays out there for those people. So,
on a time delay.
Yeah, well, you have to time delay it.
So let's talk about what that means.
The distance. Well, sound takes a certain amount of time to travel, right? Mm-hmm. Just like if you think about like splashing in a pool, it's going to take a certain amount of time for those ripples to hit the other side of the pool. So if you have speakers that are back here where the band is, and then 100 yards, a football field away, you have speakers over there, you have to delay the sound coming out of that second sound of speakers, so as the sound travels, and then it's going to come out of the sound coming from the stage and the sound coming from the faraway speaker are going to line up.
Yeah. It's funny, as you did that, your hand got really big.
Yeah, it really did. But that's probably a good analogy.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is the temperature needs to be taken into account.
No way. Oh, because
Sound travels differently through air at different temperatures.
Oh my gosh.
So the equation you use to figure out how much delay you need incorporates the air temperature.
Wow.
And in a concert like we did, where we went on at 6:30 and it was crazy hot, and we got done a little after 9 and it had cooled down a bit, you probably would have needed to move that delay.
Right, because otherwise people sitting beyond those farther speakers are going to hear a mess of sound.
Right.
Right, because
you're going to get like flamming of the sounds.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the crowd was. I bet right in front of us, counting to the sides, there's maybe 500, 600. I'm so bad at...
Maybe, I don't know, but...
I only talk about this because I'm like obsessed with getting good at like...
estimating crowd size.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people, and they were an amazingly great crowd. If anybody happens to be watching this that was in that crowd.
Andrea was there.
And Stephen Pseudo.
Oh, you've heard from him?
Yep.
Oh, cool. I heard from him.
Yeah, I actually saw him there, and then I was trying to like work my way over to like give him a little
Give
tap.
a high five, yeah.
And then didn't see him. So they were there, and thank you guys for coming. Stephen, I owe you a text. Just a wild crowd, and I felt like I needed it, man. But it was, man, yeah, I really love... It was so sweaty, and I think it took a lot more out of me. I was telling you.
Yeah.
I think it took a lot more out of me than I really realized.
Yeah. I mean, it was hot to begin with. Unfortunately, we were not in the sun, but we were under Parcan lights. So
I know.
Those things are like suns.
The old school stage lighting, they're called Parcans. Now they do it with LEDs. LEDs don't... That's what's lighting us here, LEDs. And LEDs don't really make heat. I mean, there's no such thing as light without heat, but they don't really make heat. But the old school Parcans, it's like being under a heat lamp.
It sure is.
It's like, the old fast food thing where they put the fries under the... It is like being under that. And on top of it being, 95 degrees out. It was just baking. You were like
Roasted.
feeling... When you were up at the front of the stage, like, I felt like I was getting like sunburned or something.
Yeah.
Like it was just like you could feel the heat.
But the show was great.
Yeah.
It was great. We were really high energy, and the crowd was really appreciative. Lots of phones up, videotaping us.
Right.
Oh, and then I guess I'll mention it. I mentioned it during showcase rehearsal, so I feel like I'm going to talk about this too much. But I did have my rock star moment of walking through the crowd, and I heard a table clapping. And I looked over because there's a commotion, and they were all looking at me, and then it grew to surround me. And so I was like walking back to the green room, and the crowd was all clapping and cheering for me, and I was like,
That...
I'm not Stevie Nicks, right?
For context... And then I busted.
And then you had to cut me down, of course, as I well deserved.
Because I always change back into street clothes. Like I don't, and you are, of course, you have much more to change. I just throw a different shirt on. I was just giving you a hard time about like some of us don't need the extra validation. But they were really cheering for you. I have to say, for context, we were playing on the stage, and then it was about a block's worth of like a suburb city block, not like a real city block, so a bigger block. And then there was the street, and then there was another block's worth of where people were, and then the green room was on that third block. One of the coolest green rooms we've ever been in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was the basement part of the store of Little House thrift and antiques and cool stuff. It's where they had all the stereo stuff. Anyway, so we had like kind of a long way to walk to get back to the green room. And as soon as you hit that,
walking through the crowd. Let's talk about that green room a little bit more. So they had like tube amps and enormous old speakers, like 4 feet by 5 feet speakers, and all old turntables and vintage vintage furniture that
vintage
you would
tape machines, vintage vintage furniture, vintage stereo speakers. They had the I don't even know what they're really called, the amplifier part that would actually make your speakers make noise, but it was also where you could choose between CD player and record player and radio. It was the all-in-one thing, and they had the Pioneer model that I had as a kid when I was 13. They had the exact one in the store.
Yeah.
So that was kind of trippy seeing that, because I was like, I bet they have one, because that was a very popular model, and I was like looking around.
And you found one.
And I was like,
cool.
oh my God, there it is. And it was literally like a wave of nostalgia to see, like, oh, I remember.
That's cool.
Like pushing those buttons.
That's cool.
Do
we have any takeaways from that show?
Yeah. One takeaway, I told you, I thought it was amazing that the number one thing you did that was so great was we did some song and we kind of got crazy. I don't remember which one it was, but we really got into it.
Gold Dust.
I think it was Gold Dust.
And Rhiannon, as usual.
Right. But you acknowledged the crowd after Gold Dust and after we jammed out, and you were like, that was you guys. Like,
yeah, because the song went somewhere it had never gone before. Only meaning
right.
My voice went somewhere. I did some ad-libs I'd never done before in that song.
Right.
Because I'm always trying to find
new stuff, yeah.
And so I was like, well, that's never happened like that before. And there was, what's her name? There's that couple that comes to like every single show. Mike, I think, and
I'm so embarrassed that I don't remember.
I know, but I saw her in the front, and at that moment I was like, right? You've been to every single show. It's never gone that way. And she was like, yeah.
For like the last 20 shows, they were at every show. But it was still, when you acknowledged the crowd and was like, that was you guys.
Yeah, you know why that happened? Because you gave me the energy to do that.
The energy coming to the stage from you guys was why that went wild. And acknowledging that, and that's so often true, but just like, that was for one thing, that was a real moment where it was especially that, but like that lit the match on that.
Yeah, it sure did.
That was where it really got turned up.
Yeah.
Like,
that was one of our best shows in a long time.
That was one of our best shows in a long time. And the other thing you did, I think that I was telling you should do more, is you gave people sort of specific instructions, I mean, in a very cool way, to like, hey, I see all these phones, because there were just like, there were 100 phones like up, and you were like, hey, tag us.
Right, I want to see what you're shooting. Like, share it with us.
Yeah.
And so I told them our Instagram handle.
Yeah, and somebody made Vic sent it to us. Apparently, somebody in a Louisville Facebook group made a Drake meme, like the Drake meme, where he's like, and then he's like, that one, and it was like going to see Taylor Swift, seeing Petty Nicks, like, and posted it in that. It's so funny. It's so dumb.
Go to see a show in an arena with 50 semi-trucks full of production gear, or go see a show downtown and your
cheesy tribute band. And I'm such a Taylor Swift fan. That's no cut. So those were kind of the takeaways. I think in a weird way, when you do, and this wasn't a show, we've talked about it before, there are shows where you need to really convert the audience, and you really need to turn them into a crowd, and you really need to get them to a place. Like, this was not that. There was no resistance. People were there to have a great time. A lot of people, Michael, like, there were a ton of people that were there to see us that we even recognized. That crowd was ready to go.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you do one of those really physical gigs where it's hot and you are just going crazy, and there were people all around the sides, and there was like this weird window thing, and I was like leaning out the window and like, because it felt weird to not acknowledge that there were like 100 people
watching from the side.
From the side, yeah. And anyway, I guess the feeling I get from it is like every single time there's this feeling that I'm glad I can still do it. Yeah. Like, there's this like, oh, okay.
I can still
do it.
Still got it.
I can still do it. Doesn't matter if it's hot. Doesn't matter if I'm tired anyway. You know, like if I need to put my foot on the gas, I still have it. There's still gas in the tank. I can still do it. Yeah. And every time we do one of those shows, and it's big, and it's the whole thing, and you really put yourself into it, it's like, okay, yeah, I can still do it. I still have it. Yeah. There's a weird feeling of that. Part of the reason I was tired, though, is because our big showcase is coming up, and the first showcase rehearsal was the night. The day before. Sorry, it was the morning after that show we're talking about. So all week I had been cramming showcase songs, which Nate is probably listening to this. Nate, we love you. Always great to see you and play with you and all that stuff. Anyway, he remarked that this is like the breadth of the material and the diversity of the material this time is maybe the most it's ever been. I mean, it is like there's a bossa nova tune, there's a Mexican pop tune, there's a metal, you know, there's literally everything. Country, Miranda Lambert, like it is just, and it's not as many songs as there have been sometimes. Yeah. This is, you know, still a healthy amount of songs. Just the diversity, and it kind of crept up on me, and I was really cramming. Like I told you, I felt more prepared for this showcase than, you know, I was able to work. I was playing through a lot of it and practicing without even the charts, and I was getting through most of it not even needing a chart. But man, that diversity of tunes it's a lot of, it's extra mental load to be like, okay, we're not just doing pop. We're juggling between all these things. Yeah. You know?
I'm impressed with you guys. I really am.
How did you feel rehearsal went?
Overall, pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Some new singers, some really brand new singers.
Yeah, we started out the day with a handful of brand new singers, and they all did great.
Yeah, who'd never performed live or played with a band or whatever, and they all did great. I mean, they were all nervous, but that's kind of the fun thing about the showcase is you do get to work with those people sometimes who are new, and then you get to somebody like Jana. MC.
Yeah, Jana said that she was, you know, finally not super nervous. She's like, look at me. Like, I was so scared the first couple times, and now she's settling into it, and it makes me so happy to see. Oh, and Sophia Thompson. Thompson.
Sophia,
Anyway, Sophia, who was extremely nervous for the last showcase. She sang Gravity.
Oh, yeah.
She was just shaking, so scared. And she is killing it with You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette. Yeah. And she's not a pop rock singer historically. She's a choir singer. And so to bring out that chest voice and that bite, that is really impressive.
And she pointed out she'd always done, even kind of, I guess, you know, just privately, the stuff she'd worked on was doing much more quiet vocal and piano. Sarah Bareilles, if you know who that is, like gentler stuff, and You Ought to Know is a raucous tune, and the vocal delivery on that is wild, you know. And so she was saying, like, it's a big step out to be doing this loud.
Yeah.
All the things you said.
Yeah, I'm so proud of people.
I know, it's so much fun. It's great to do.
So I'm going to be on stage singing, as I mentioned, I'm singing backups this time. I was, you know, I might continue doing this, not purely for financial reasons, but because I'm going to be at rehearsal anyway, start to finish. You know? I'm going to be there anyway, and the backup singers have historically had schedule conflicts. It's a lot to ask to have a backup singer who's not getting paid anywhere near the musicians. You know, spend 5 hours twice to rehearse with people. And if I'm going to be there anyway, you know, maybe I should just do it.
And there is prep. There's
definitely some prep.
And you clearly were very prepped.
Well, a few songs need more prep still, so I'll do that this week. But we'll see.
It was funny. It was great for me to see Ryan in particular acknowledge that you actually are a great tambourine player.
I take pride in my hand percussion.
Because you are like one of the only singers I know who I would trust with a tambourine in their hand. And most drummers can't play percussion. Like, they might be a perfectly fine drummer, but they can't. I mean, tambourine, like, everybody acts like, oh, you shake it, right? You just that is a hard instrument.
And it's a loud one. It can really destroy things. Yeah,
no, I mean, you're really going to hear it. Shaker is very hard.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the studio days, now I just do it because I more or less always do everything myself. But, like, I would never even bother to let a drummer play tambourine or shake. No.
Oh my gosh.
I would do it. I would just be like, dude, I don't want to be insulting, but like, we're not even gonna waste time on it. Or like, maybe you can have one take.
Huh.
Because like, I guarantee you can't really do it. If you haven't worked on it, if you haven't practiced it, it seems like the easiest thing in the world, but it really is not. And you were doing that crazy pattern on "Shake It Out" by Florence and the Machine, and singing.
It was that was kind of hard.
Yeah,
I was messing up a little bit, but
still, it's unbelievable. But it was funny that even Ryan was like, "No, Adrienne could play."
Compliment from Ryan is a pretty rare thing.
Now that you mention it, maybe the only one I've heard. None coming my way, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of my strong right hand skills.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's the first thing you noticed when you saw me play bass at first. That, like, with Urban Dance Theory, you thought I'd been playing for like 5 years or something. And I'd been playing for 1 year.
And I like turned around and you were like focused on what you were doing, but you were working on some song today, and I was like taken aback at how tight rhythmically you were.
Really?
You've got a great right hand. It was something, maybe it was like Pretty Young Thing.
By
Michael Jackson.
Yeah. That one's got a cool bass line.
Is that who it is? It's not Matthew Jackson. I'm making fun of myself that I like stuttered on Michael Jackson. Like, that's a name that's hard to remember. Anyway, you were just, it was some kind of tight, but, and it was just like, you were just like lasered on that.
Thank you. So we had a little conversation on the way to the studio where, like, I don't know, I made a joke about like, maybe I should play drums next. And it's not leaving me. So, I got into singing.
Right.
Fairly. I mean, I sang when I was a kid, obviously. I mean, you don't have to, like, take lessons to sing.
Yeah, of course.
You can just sing. So I sang, but, like, I dedicated myself to learning how to sing well, starting in my 30s.
Right.
And I'm perfectly happy with how I sing now. And then I started focusing on bass about 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. Took a big old break in the middle. Didn't really take it that seriously at first. But now I'm making faster progress. And, I can see, in 10 years, I'll be way better than I am now. But then I think the next thing might be to learn to play drums. And so maybe in a few more years, I mean, I've taken 3 years of lessons already.
Right.
2 years with Amy Shelley at like a decade ago. And 1 year with Eric Martin, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah. Which is what I was telling you the other night. It's like, what is happening with drums. Like, the technique, the technical side of things, mm-hmm. and part-wise.
Yeah,
like,
it's a matter
that's
of
how it all fits
working
together.
Up coordination.
Yeah.
And I've got good time. I've got good rhythm in my body.
Yes.
And a good hi-hat hand.
Yeah. So it's like, you could do it. You could do it.
So I'm like thinking, I'm still focused on bass for the next few years, but I might start working in the drums to overlap maybe in like 6 or 7 years. And then like 3 or 4 years after that, I could like start maybe playing in showcases or I don't know. And maybe not. Maybe that's too demanding. That's a lot. Maybe join some bar band or something. I don't know.
You could totally do that. I don't want to be mean, but sometimes the bar is pretty low.
Anyway, that was a total side tangent. I don't know.
But well, let's just agree that you're going to stay away from guitars, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from guitars. Except the one time I played, I had a lot of fun.
I was going to say you did do a gig where you played acoustic. You can play acoustic.
And I played electric with the students one time.
Okay, let's agree that you're going to stay away from electric guitars.
I really like electric guitar. Anyway, back to bass. I am so proud. I'm getting near the end of Nate's 159 song list.
I know.
I'm cranking through it. I've done 15 or 16 songs in the last 24 hours. and it's been over 2 months since I've been learning. It hasn't been 3 songs a day, but it's been maybe two or 2.5 a day on average. And so I'm nearing the end of that project, probably in about 1, maybe 2 more weeks.
Which
me.
I had forgotten that you'd been doing that for like 2 months. I mean, that seems like
just adds up step by step, you know?
I mean, that is always how it is. Yeah. It's funny, we were just talking though, like, and I think you're this way, at least now, like, it is so fun figuring out, like, getting good at stuff. Like, I love figuring out how to do stuff. Like, you know, just like, I don't care that much about, like, being good, but I love the process of getting good.
The thing is, when you're learning something new, you can learn a lot quickly.
Right.
In most endeavors.
Yeah, sure.
Mastering something, like, once you get good, getting to very good
is
a lot longer.
Yeah.
It's, you know, every incremental improvement takes longer, or maybe not longer, it's not like a linear thing, but, you know, it's fun to learn something new because you get to improve so quickly.
Yeah. That is sort of what's addictive about it. And I like the lows too. I was thinking about it while we were setting up. I also like the lows in figuring out to do something. Like the highs of like you're doing a new thing and like sometimes it works out and it's magic and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just started doing this and it's so, you know, I just killed that one thing, or I did a great gig, or I, you know, made a lasagna that was good, you know, whatever it is, you know, and then you have the low where it like doesn't work out, but like then you keep working on it and you figure out how to make it work out again.
And it's more rewarding because you had to work for it.
The lows are part of it. Like I like the failures, like I do. Like
that's pretty cool.
You know, I like not being able to do something or failing sometimes, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sort of like...
Maybe it's like gambling. Like, if you tried and always won, it would be so boring and easy.
You wouldn't gamble if you won every time. That is exactly
what's
what
happening.
It is. That is exactly what it is to me. It is sort of that. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah. Or... like I often say about falling down on stage, if it doesn't happen to you every once in a while, you're probably not working hard enough.
If you're doing rock, I think. I don't know that's applicable to every genre of music.
It probably isn't. It probably isn't.
Playing cocktail jazz.
Yeah.
You need to fall down. That might mean
probably
something else.
Probably not performing hard enough. Yeah, it might mean something else. Yeah. You might need to talk to someone if that's... if jazz musicians
if you're a seated piano player, Sarah Bareilles type, and you don't fall down once in a while.
I think particularly jazz musicians. If a jazz musician falls down, it's time for an intervention. That's what's going on there.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Where are we? Do we need to wrap pretty soon yet?
Yeah, we probably do. So, tell me about My Spark Denver.
Yeah. So this isn't playing music, this is music education. So My Spark Denver is a new program that is launching this fall and through the next academic year, where 4,000 underprivileged kids are going to get $1,000 debit cards to spend to spend on after-school enrichment activities with specific providers. So it's a partnership between the philanthropic organization called Gary Community Ventures and the city of Denver is putting up some money. There's a grant. Right. So it sounds like it's a go. I've been talking with them for a couple of months, just kind of as they're pulling all of their providers together, and we are a provider. We, being Performance Hive Voice and Music Studio, is a provider. So we're providing, obviously, private lessons to kids who want to take those, but we're also putting together a middle school pop choir as an offering. And I am trying to find a place and time to offer a guitar class. But at the moment, we don't have the space or time. So
between teachers and room usage.
Yeah, it's like this Tetris game. We've got 5 rooms at Sound Structure that are all shared with you or other people, other bands. And then, people have their different days in the studio, and we need to have this be an after-school activity, but that's the prime time for lessons as well, and it's just, oh my gosh. But what could resolve this is if we move to a new space. And I have my eye on one that I haven't gotten the option to see inside of yet.
Right.
It came up listed on LoopNet last week, and I'm waiting to hear back from my broker. But it's a good price, and it's a good size, and lots of parking.
Which is starting to become a thing.
Yeah, that's becoming an issue too.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm kind of waiting till tomorrow to see if I hear back from my broker, and then we'll go from there, because things could move quickly if this is the right space.
Yeah. And that's, that would be, just really transformative.
Yeah.
If, and again.
Or may turn out to be nothing. It may turn out to not be the right room for us at all.
We have gone and looked at a number of places, and sometimes it's just not right, And, and obviously you can't take something that's not going to work.
Yeah. So coming up this weekend, just trying to wrap here.
Yeah, let's wrap it.
So I've got a gig with Jacob Larson, so that'll be fun. My student, Jacob Larson, has been my student for a long time, well over 10 years. And Kristen Henry, who is his other vocal coach who works for me as well at Performance High, is going to be the other backup singer. So it's going to be a Kristen and Adrienne reunion. We used to be in Girls on Top together, a different band.
Yeah, you sort of, Kristen has been doing it forever, but you sort of came up with Kristen a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
And you guys have, vocally, the chemistry you guys have is unbelievable.
It's so
You're
great.
so good at singing together. It's really...
Yeah, it's mainly her. She's the one who's really good. She can do acrobatics around any... She's like, oh, I hear you on that harmony, even though we planned this other one. I'm going to jump up to where you would be. Like, she's instantly wherever the hole in the harmony is.
Yeah.
She's so good.
She really is. We should have her on the podcast. I mean, you know what? If we're going to go out of town or something, we should do a Kristen Henry podcast. That would be like a 6-parter. We get like 2 months out of a Kristen Henry podcast.
Right. She could just come over and talk for 3-5 hours.
I know. She's the best. But that'll be so much fun playing with Jacob. Where are you guys at again, did you say?
I don't even know.
Yeah, who cares?
No, I do know. It's Boulder, the 29th Street Fair in Boulder.
Oh, so which we are doing with Cody in August.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're... Yeah, I know. We're starting to... Yeah, do lots of these things multiple times with multiple people.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Same circuit.
Well, you want to... Where were you going?
Oh, then we have the showcase on Sunday. Another showcase rehearsal, and then the showcase.
Yeah,
so
right.
That's what's going on. Right. And then you're going to start your new weekly artist development live stream. Right,
which I think, writing down some stuff, definitely want to, I mean, who knows who's listening to this, especially at this point, but we'd love to get questions from people. You don't necessarily need to get on it live. You could write into Performance High's Facebook or Instagram or whatever you care to do, or email or text.
Yeah, any question you have about any artist development topic, which is a huge topic.
Literally anything. I mean, I'm just going to kind of go with topics that have been coming up in my work lately, but it would also be really great to directly answer what people are interested in hearing about. That would be really great.
Yeah, so you're going to be live on YouTube for sure.
I think I'm going to do Facebook too. I think I'm just going to 2-device it.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And just do both.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be Wednesdays at 7, starting not the day this podcast comes out, but 1 week after this podcast
1 week
comes
after.
out.
Yeah. And it's just going to be a live by myself.
Me. Yeah, but it'll be saved for later, so...
Yeah, you can always watch them later. If you don't get enough of me talking on this podcast, I will be talking somewhere else. So, yeah, you can get more. And, boy, I got to tell you, might be time to wrap it.
Yeah, I know. I can feel the energy just going, wow. Yeah, both of us are just done.
Sun-stricken.
So much hot.
Oh, my gosh. I think I got really dehydrated because I think I just wasn't used to that level. And, I mean, at that show, I was sweated through shirt, sweated through vest, sweated through hat. Like my hat
my gosh.
was completely soaked. Like the whole top of it was just like not all the way out to the rim, but like halfway out to the rim was like soaking wet.
Wow.
It was like that. I just like sweated out like a gallon. You know, but gosh, we should thank Gabriella at Little House for the wonderful hospitality at the backstage. That was first class treatment.
Absolutely.
We were thank you so much. That was really great. As always, we're brought to you by Performance High
Voice and Music Studio.
Yeah. And any recommendations? Any
Los Dos Bros?
Los Dos Bros.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Mexican food truck in Louisville.
The amount we talk about Mexican food never stops.
Vegetarian tacos. They were so good.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
And the refried beans and rice, I normally don't care about. Delicious. Amazing. They were like so good. Yeah. So
good stuff.
Great Mexican food there, and gosh, and jury duty, if anybody
Yes, that's a recommendation.
Is that
not about actual jury duty, but
don't throw those in the trash. You don't need to do that.
I think you do. But
you don't need to do that.
No, jury duty. It's on Amazon Prime.
I think it is. Yeah.
It's one season, 8 episodes.
Right.
And we just happened upon it, and we just finished it last night.
Nice little half hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
It's
good.
It's really good. It's super entertaining. If you're looking for just a fun, like it's sort of like The Office, but it also has this candid camera angle to it. And James Marsden, who I did not know, I did actually. Yeah. I've seen him in TV shows. There is an actor who plays himself in the show, and just he's so funny. He's just crazy, and just makes fun of himself and all this stuff. Anyway, jury duty. That would be a recommendation.
Yeah.
And another recommendation. Turn this off because we're going to.
All right. See you next week.